God, you are back with comedian David Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. Everything is such a fucking blur when you have a new kid. Like, you're waiting around for 9 months of the pregnancy for the kid to be born, and then it changes in like an instant. You're in the delivery room, you hear the cry, so 1 second it's not actually real to you. The second you hear that cry, it's like, oh fuck, and now you're on the clock. It's not like, well, you just had 9 months of fucking hardcore stress. Go rest for a while. It's like, here, on top of the stress you've already had for the last 9 months, chuck a newborn baby on top of it. Go handle that. Then you're not sleeping well, the baby's crying, you're up and down, you're all over the shop. You don't really get a chance for it to sink in for a while. So it's been like 2.5 weeks. It's been like 20 days now, and it still hasn't really sunk in. She's doing well. My wife's doing well. I'm doing okay. I wouldn't say I'm great. I don't want to complain. I don't want to ruffle any feathers, but I wouldn't say I'm great. Having kids, it's so fucking surreal. Even looking at my son. My son's been around for 4 years, 4.5 years now. Sometimes I look at him, I'm like, who the fuck are you? Where the fuck did you come from? And why all of a sudden do you get the good parts of the fucking chicken? My wife gives him the good parts of the chicken, like the best part of the skin, the fucking wings. He doesn't even eat it. He just eats the skin off the fucking wings and then throws the rest. And I have to eat his scraps. I'm like, enough of this. This isn't how it was when I was fucking growing up. When I was growing up, Dad got all the good stuff and we got the scraps off the bone. We were lucky to get any of the good stuff. And then we were forced to sit there and eat Brussels sprouts. I don't know whose fucking idea Brussels sprouts were back in the day. No one in the house liked them. And that's back in the day when Brussels sprouts wasn't a fucking superfood that people love. This is when they smelled and tasted like asshole. And we were forced to sit at the fucking table until we had finished those asshole tasting things, or we would have to go straight to bed and get a fucking smack along the way. One time in New Zealand, my nana, who's Polish, she makes these pierogies, these lamb potato fucking pierogies. I swear to God, they were the best tasting things you'll ever taste. And she would cook up a whole bunch of them and then sit them down on the table, and it would just be a free-for-all. My aunties, my uncles, Dad, us, all trying to get as many pierogies in as you could. And there was an unwritten rule with the pierogies. You could take a few at the start, but any extra, you had to wait till you finished what was on your plate and then just take one at a time. So I was doing a pretty good job one day, and there was 2 left on the big plate. So I grabbed one, and instead of putting it on my plate, I just stuffed it all in my mouth. And then I went to grab the last one, and Dad stabbed me in the hand with a fork. He fucking stabbed my hand with the fork and then took it himself. Now that's parenting. And it's not like you ever get fully used to your kids, because they're always growing too. They're always changing. So 1 minute they'll be the one person and the next minute they'll be some other fucking thing. So as soon as you start getting a little bit used to them, they change, and then you're like, who the fuck are you now? It's all a fucking blur, but it's a nice blur. There's really only so much I can do anyway. The hardest part about having a baby is the breastfeeding, and I have nothing to do with that. For 24 hours, every hour and a half now. And that just wears you out. Not me, but yeah, you know. There's only so much I can do. But anyway, that's enough of that. It's another Friday night, and it's time for Fucked Up Friday. Fucked Up Friday's been great lately. I haven't had to burn one of my stories for a long time. For fucking months now. So thank you to everyone who's been sending in stories. Keep sending them in. If you want to send me in a Fucked Up Friday story, just hit me up. On social media, I'm Boyle Comedy on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Just personal message me and fucking start following me on social media too, because there's a fucking massive discrepancy between how many people listen to this podcast and how many people follow me on Instagram. I have like 485 followers on Instagram. People don't respect that. They spit on 485 followers. Luckily, I don't base my self-worth on fucking Instagram. Anyway, the Fucked Up Friday story today came from one of the lady listeners over there in the US. I think Pennsylvania was the place. It doesn't matter if it was Pennsylvania. It could be Philadelphia. I can't remember. And the person wants to remain anonymous. Well, they didn't say that, but I'm going to keep them anonymous because it's a single mum One of the fucking heroes. Lately, I've just had more and more love for the single mums. Go hard, single mums. I can barely handle it, and I'm in a relationship, and I'm daydreaming that much. I'm basically an absentee father. So fucking I don't know how yous do it. And being a single mum, it ties in with the theme from the start of the podcast. See how I just weave things in. Seamless. Okay, so here we go. Thanks for sending in today's Fucked Up Friday story. So I'm a single mum who worked a 9 to 5 and then part-time as a bartender in the evenings when I didn't have my kids. Jesus Christ. That's what I'm talking about. Like if that was me, well, let's not say if it was me because I wouldn't have the 9 to 5 and I wouldn't have the part-time bartending job. I would be full-time at the bar. But let's say if it was responsible me, I would be working the 9 to 5 and then when I kick my shitty kids out to their dad's house, I would be like, thank fuck, and I just want to chill those days. I wouldn't be looking for a fucking part-time bartending job. That wouldn't even cross my mind. The 9 to 5 wouldn't cross my mind either. I'd be like, I'm willing to risk my children's future for a little bit of a nap. Fucking hell. I don't know how you do it. And the single dads out there as well. There's not as many of them though. I worked both jobs on Cinco de Mayo. Cinco de Mayo. In 2017, and although I don't have a Latin gene in my body, I decided that tequila shots were exactly what I needed after work. So I go down to the local pub, throw me down some free shots because I'm a fucking girl, and some asshole cunts think they're gonna get lucky, bastards. Well, someone got lucky at some point, didn't they? You can't deny that. You can't deny it worked once. Or twice. I think you have 2 kids, don't you? And then I proceed to down pints like it was a business. I'm 5'6" and weigh 115 pounds. Ooh, nice. But I can take a lot of fucking alcohol because I'm a fucking lush. Anyway, at least 5 shots and 4 beers later, I decided it's a good time to go home because I had to work the next day. 5 shots and 4 beers. I suppose you're small, you're a chick, you're working 2 jobs, you got kids. Yeah, alright, I'll give you a pass there. I'll give you a pass. They probably hit you pretty hard. So I leave and of course I drive to the local made-to-order gas station after leaving a perfectly good restaurant bar to get $40 worth of food from the made-to-order menu. I'm a fucking asshole because I end up coming to behind the wheel of my car parked in a parking lot, stuffing my face with an already made Sammy, with a cop knocking on my window asking me to step out of the vehicle. I end up going to the holding cell for the night to dry out. I'm not made for the jail life. I ended up crying like a fuck the entire time I was there in front of some 18-year-old girl who was in there because she beat up her boyfriend. Jesus Christ. What guy calls the police and actually says my 18-year-old girlfriend just beat the fuck out of me? Just take the beating, mate. Fucking hell. Take the beating, start doing some push-ups, and then next time beat the fuck out of her. That's good advice, isn't it? I'm like a fucking Australian Dr. Phil. So she was in there with a girl who beat up her boyfriend, and now I was afraid she was going to fuck my face up with the goddamn look she was giving me. I like the way you speak. You've got a fucking tongue on you. So they release me in the morning. I call a taxi to get my ass to my car. I make a mad rush home, brush my teeth, and wash the regret off my face, and make it in time for work. I must have reeked of tequila and despair because they allowed me to take a 2-hour break to lay in my car. So I was charged with public drunkenness and I paid the fine, but then decided a nice mum like me shouldn't have a record, so I paid some lawyer off to take it off my rap sheet. You'd think I learned my lesson there, but I didn't. I just became a drunk who sat alone every night and drank herself to oblivion until I decided to stop this past year. Good fucking shit. And then she adds at the end, I realized it must have been the gas station workers that called the cops because I ordered so much food and walked out with the Sammy. I don't even remember it, but I have a receipt to show for it. Fucking $43.87 worth of food. I must have been craving a good lay because there were 6 fucking hot dogs on that order. So yeah, that's my story. Well, thank you very much, single mum from Pennsylvania that loves the D. Thank you for sending in the story. I appreciate it. That's it from me tonight. Have a good weekend. I'll see you the fuck later.